once again, thank you all the organization to having us here, okay? So, we are talking about esports for almost 2.5 days, and we have a lot of issues and we have a lot of subjects to discuss. And it comes to one point that we are now discussing the challenges of the recognition. But what kind of recognition and what kind of legitimation you need to make the esports happen? Well, we have seen a lot of people here talking about legal protection. We discussed integrity. We discussed a lot of things. But the first thing we need to understand is the point that caused us some disruption is when I said esports, I'm using the first letter, E, as electronic, and the second, sports. So the guys from the guys from the Olympic movement, the guys from the IOC and other guys use it to have the regular sports in their lives. They quite understand 100% what sport means. What they need to understand is what electronic means. And there is a difference between electronic games and electronic sports. When you use electronic games, then we have that kind of situation that, oh, electronic games, oh, they bring us a lot of bad things like violence for the underage and etc. No, it's electronic games. And then you have a lot of other franchises doing that and promoting that. But it's up to their fathers to keep in mind that we have a rate right in the label, in the front of the game, and that's it. It's up to them. It's inside their house. But when you talk about electronic games, sports, excuse me, and then we have a huge and a completely different environment. You need to understand what the standards and a lot of other departments inside in sports point of view, and also the electronic. How does it work? Well, if you're talking about a recognition of electronic sports, first you have to do the same question to yourself. I mean, am I, sorry, it's the food. Sorry, am I in the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Do I have a sustainable system to myself? Because I'm claiming that I have a federation. Okay, what's to have a federation? A registration number within your country? Non-for-profit, a private association founded, and what about it? Anyone can have it. What is going to legitimate yourself as a federation? Not only the name, because you can use whatever the name you want, International Federation, Continental Federation, whatever. But what are you really doing to legitimate yourself and to recognize yourself and the esports within your federation or your private association? So I will give you a small example. Inside the Confederation in Brazil, we have a huge infrastructure. It's about 89 people working. We have the High Court of Esports. It's just the High Court of Sports dealing with disciplinary things. They are formed and founded by sports lawyers, all specialized on that, and you have to follow a legal procedure to create a High Court of Esports or sports in Brazil. Then you have the Litigation Resolution Chamber, which is a completely different thing, to deal with the commercial thing. And then we have the nucleus of, I don't know in English, nucleus of high performance and health. They are formed by guys from nutrition and physiologists, biomedicine, and these guys have a laboratory and they study the esports and the impact of the esports in the athlete. And then we have the Educational Commission, formed by professionals from the educational. One of them, the president, is Lamartine da Costa. He's the guy who invented the physical education concept in Brazil, and he was for a long time a member of the International Olympic Committee. And then you can have the presidential advisor. Right now in WESCO, we have two former CEOs from the Olympic committees, one from Brazil, another from Mexico, and we are moving on. So you have to ask yourself first, what's the infrastructure that I have? What's the self-respect that I'm doing? Am I respecting myself? Am I really into it? So all this kind of infrastructure you have to yourself, and then think about recognizing the esports in your region. Otherwise, people are not going to take you in a seriously way, at least not the professional ones, not the guys up there use it to have the sports in their lives. So that's one step. Then you can, follow a regional. I will give you another example. In Americas, we already have the South, Central, and North American confederations for their respective regions. And then we have the continental, which is the PAMESCO, Pan American Esports Confederation. Under that, above that, we have the WESCO, the World Sport Consortium, in our point of view. Oh, but there is another one. Yes. One that I love so much is WESA. Their representatives over there. The other one is ISF with their own vision. So it would be really nice to us if we could all sit on the table with a beautiful bottle of whiskey and talk about esports and work together. What WESA can do for me? What can I do for them? How can we work together and create this huge, tremendous, and beautiful esports ecosystem for real, in practice? And so many other ways we can work together. This, I think, in my point of view, this is recognition. And when you bring esports to be recognized in your country, for example, in Brazil, you have to do it in the right way. What's recognition? Oh, I'm a player. I already recognize it. That's okay. But I'm speaking in a more professional way. Not professional by your skills. You probably have the skills of a god playing Counter-Strike or whatever. But I mean the professional, the legal way. In Brazil, if you want to call yourself professional, you have to be a federated athlete. To be protected under athlete's law, to have access to Bolsa Atleta. And the owner of the team won't have to pay attention for your monthly fee payment because you already have a scholarship for that or something. And you will have a ranked career, and we will follow up you and your post-career, and you will have a value, just like a football player. We have all this environment there. So, and most of the time, one or another developer can see that as a threat. Oh, he's going to regulate, it's my IP. It is your IP. Serious, guys, if there is one thing I don't get it's that. I have nothing to do with the developer, but to help him in everything, to support him. In Brazil, they have to pay a fee to the government to promote private esports championship. If they have my sanction, what's the sanction? It is okay, you can use our High Court of Esports, you can use our infrastructure. You don't have to pay us nothing, and we will give you all that for free. They don't need to pay the tax for the government because it will be considered at sports, regular sports. So there is a lot of things, and as even WESCO or PAMESCO, we have nothing to do with the developers. They will always do whatever they want because they own the IP. They are the guys owning the thing. We can work together, and we can work in areas they don't need. Like, what about social inclusion? So you go to a favela in Brazil, or you go to in the poor side, or you go to the people that needs only one chance to be someone in sports, but they don't have it because they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the money, the chance, the opportunity, and we are giving to them all that. What about the educational side? So we promote lectures, we call the fathers, we have our social inclusion commission, we have everything. So that's commitment. That's the recognition, right? So that's the way we can work together, recognizing ourselves and also recognizing esports in our region, our country, whatever. And then it comes to the Olympic movement. Olympic movement is one thing. Olympic Games is another thing. And Olympism is a completely different thing. We bring to the esports the Olympism values brought to us by Pierre de Coubertin in 1846. This guy came up to the scene in France, and then he had an idea. Why don't we bring to ourselves the Olympic Games from the ancient times in Greece? And do you know that in the beginning, in the Olympic Games, no professional players were allowed to do that, only amateurs? So that's the core of the Olympism movement. The values: compassion, partnership, friendship, empowering. This is Olympism, and we have to have these values inside the esports to make this a real sports category. The Olympic movement is another completely different thing. They bring together athletes in the Olympic, in Olympism feeling, inside competitions. And the Olympic Games is the thing promoted by the IOC. So we talk about different things all the way, but we use the same concept to all of them, and this is wrong. And then you have the standards. Why it is so important to have standards once you have the recognition and the Olympism values within yourself. With standards, I can talk to Weza, I can talk to you, the athlete, in the same level, and you will understand me when I talk to you. I mean, I have a standard to accept an athlete. So this athlete will be recognized by that federation or that other association, whatever the name. Don't care about the name. And that team is going to work in that line, in that path, doing this exactly technical things to achieve the ranking system and to be follow it up and to have a value. Standards, it's all about standards. Even now we are using standards here. Every single table has 2 bottles of waters. The lights there are the same of the lights there. This screen has the same vision of this screen to help me seeing my own bad face there. That's disgusting. Even before after the lunch, it's even worse. So our life, it's made by standards. And you have to have standards so you don't have problems like the athlete feeling surrounded by sharks while the sharks feeling the same thing. So you see, if you have standards, they know how to talk to each other because they have the same line. They think the same way because it is automatically done. You got it? Does that make sense? Right? So that's the thing about recognition. That's the thing about Olympism. There you go. Okay? And that's the thing about standards. It's something very simple. You just have to bring that to yourself and really do that for real. And we have to talk more about what we agree and then putting something that we don't agree on the table. Let's talk about what we agree and how can we cooperate with each other. Okay? But always with governance and accountability and professional transparency. You demand that from your organizations, okay? So guys, I think that's a short keynote, but I think I try to condense that and resume everything that we are talking about here so far. Thank you for listening to me, and that's it. Bye-bye.